Hi Hoodoo loves. All right, so a lot of you have asked me, would you please go ahead and do your sweet jar recipe for us in a video? Now this is, I don't get asked to do sweet jars a lot, interestingly enough, which is kind of funny because I love doing them, but this one is a little bit of a specific situation, so it's not exactly my standard recipe, but I would also say it's going to contain a lot of elements that you would probably put in your own sweet jar if you were doing it. So what I want to start out with is the piece that I don't show you, the private piece. This is the petition. And with this, I have actually used a photograph of the person, and on the back their name has been written along with their birth date and the commands that are relevant for this particular work, and it's been folded up with some powders and herbs inside that go along with that goal, and then it has been bound with a binding thread. So that is the petition piece. That's the piece that you're not actually going to see me do. That's this part right there. Now everything else I'm going to try to keep as transparent as possible and show you everything that I'm doing. Most things I have already prayed over. My prayers are very simple. I make the sign of the cross over the item. I say, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, I bless and empower you too, and then I state the properties or the things that I'm wanting that particular item to do in the spell. So you're going to see a little bit of that in this. Some of the things have already been done because there's just a lot of elements and I don't want to get it too much going on. So the first thing we're going to do here is, this is one of my already blessed items. This is actually, and you probably saw me a little while back, I posted this, that I was making it. This is a love powder that has been made with grave dirt, and it is specifically the grave dirt of an infant that died very, very young, a few days old. This was a really wonderful, sweet little spirit. I went and was actually able to communicate with her, and my gift is not speaking with those who've crossed over, so when I do connect with a spirit, it's unusual and very notable. And this particular one just kind of walked right up to me, and she wanted me to take some of her dirt, and she was willing to exchange it just and be there and present and help, and so it was a really wonderful little experience. But a lot of people like grave dirt from a very, very young child's grave for love work because it brings back innocence, and it brings back that feeling of, I just fell in love for the first time ever, and this is the best thing, and this is so wonderful, and you know, that ability to trust and to kind of just jump off the cliff. And it's especially good for when your target has trust issues, has been hurt before, things like that. It's a very soothing thing to help with. So that's what's going to go in first, and because it has the dirt in it, we're going to put that powder in here first. So that's that's the bottom, that's our foundation right there. And then we're going to put the petition in. So we're putting these elements in all together. All right, so the next thing that we're going to add here, this is a piece of licorice root. There is a binding element to this spell. This is not something that I normally put in most of my sweet jars, because most sweet jars I focus on sweetening exclusively, not on binding. However, in this particular case, there are some circumstances that warrant there being a little bit of extra pressure put on that particular person's will. So we're just going to put that in there as well. It's already been prayed over and blessed. And we're going to add some shells here. These are just for good luck, as an offering to the spirits that are helping with it, and it's just a good vibe in general. Again, not something I normally put in, but this spell does need a little extra stabilizing, and they're just a good item all around. They feel right, and that's the big thing with your magic. You've got to go with something that's going to be intuitive to you, because sometimes there's going to be something that it's totally outside of what you're going to read on a blog or what you're going to see in somebody's video, but it feels right to you, and you need to pay attention to that intuition. I would say every single time that I have ignored my intuition, I have regretted it. Every single time I've gone along with it, it has worked out wonderfully. So I'm very, very solid with this. I do believe these go in here. I'm also adding a rose quartz. This rose quartz has the word love. The ink or the paint kind of came off of it, because this has been actually much used and much loved and a lot of work, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in this jar, which means it's going to be in the jar forever. It's finished. This is the last request that I'm going to make of it, but I've done this because this is a stabilizing thing. Stones and earth are very stabilizing. When you've got somebody who seems to be back and forth, hot and cold, it's good to add an element of earth or an extra element of earth to make that person stick with what you're trying to get them to do. So that's going to go into our jar. And then lastly, I have also these. These are peppermint candies. Now, traditionally, you would put either red hot cinnamon candy or lifesaver candy into this jar. I tend to skip candy altogether. Some people just, you know, it's different traditions go different ways. I'm putting these in because peppermint is for communication. And I've blessed these specifically to bring communication to the particular relationship that is happening. And I think the cat knocked over his toy. Anyway, that's what you heard. The cat's interfering. But those of you who watch my channel know that we have regular cat interruptions. It's pretty much it's a common thing here. But these have been blessed specifically for communication in this situation, as communication has been a factor that made things a little more difficult. And these two people don't necessarily find it easy to find the means of communication in their particular situation. So that's what that is for. So we've got that, and now we're going to go here to part of my favorite part here. I'm adding rose petals. Now the different colors here actually do have different meanings. The red has been blessed for passion, for lust, for sexuality. The pink has been blessed specifically for romance and love. The white has been blessed for forgiveness. There are some issues in this situation where there has been some trouble with feeling like there was a lot of hurt and lack of ability to forgive on both sides. So that's what that's for. And then the yellow is, of course, for friendship and well-being. Yellow roses are more traditionally used with prosperity work, but they can also be used for friendship. And that's that we want there to be a solid element of friendship, or you are my best friend, you are my lover in this work. So there is that. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and add a couple more things. Y'all know, y'all see this jar all the time in my videos now. This is coffee and chicory. Normally I go ahead and use coffee beans, but I decided I would use this today because I have not gotten to go to the store where I get my favorite coffee beans, and I thought this just felt better rather than running down in the middle of the night to the store. So I'm going to go ahead and pray over and bless this. All right, so there's the prayer. Okay, and I'm also going to add star anise, which I have not blessed. Here's the end of my star anise, so. All right, and that's going to go in there. That is going to, the coffee is to make this have energy, to make it speed up, to make it work quickly. The chicory root and the anise are both to make the work manifest in the real world, not just the digital or emotional or spiritual world, but the physical world, like the down here, earth element type world. So that's what that is all about. All right, so now we're going to go to our oils, okay? And you're going to see me adding these just really quickly here. I'm going to say kind of a quick prayer over everything at the end. But here we go. That's a love return oil. This is a come to me oil. And I am out of that one. It's a wonderful oil. I love it. This is a follow me oil. This is a compelling oil. This is another compelling oil, do as I say oil. This is another compelling and binding oil. It's a bend over oil. This is a reconciliation and peace oil. All right, so that's all the elements that are going into here as far as just the spell pieces. Now, I do have one very special piece. This right here, my father is a beekeeper, and because the particular person that I'm doing this on behalf of is a very dear friend of mine, this is organic honey. I know the exact source. I know exactly what the bees have been feeding on. This is the actual honeycomb. And honeycomb, just as opposed to regular honey, you would want to use honeycomb when you want a relationship specifically to lead to living together and building a household, just like the bees build a community and a household. This is when you want someone to integrate into your social circle sweetly. That's what honeycomb is for. So we're going to put that in here. Okay, I just can't waste this honey. It's actually very, very, very good honey. My dad is wonderful. He's wonderful. He was in the military for years and years and years. He retired and was like, you know what, I'm going to be a beekeeper, and he does a great job of it, so he's awesome. But okay, so the next thing I'm going to add here, pure maple syrup. I gotta complain for just a moment. When I put up my recipe, first shared it for sweet jars, I had several people say, well, why do we have to use maple syrup? It's too expensive. You don't have to use maple syrup. You don't. Not necessary, okay? You can use whatever you want to use that is sweet. You can use sugar, honey, Karo syrup, pancake syrup I've seen used, molasses. I usually don't recommend things like stevia because stevia has some other connotations that just don't match with a sweet jar. I also don't recommend artificial things. They do have a magical use, but it's not this. So we're going to add maple syrup, about halfway full maple syrup. And yes, I use a lot of maple syrup in it. Yes, it's expensive, but you know, I charge a lot of money for my work. I think it's worth it. It brings good results. So I make sure that the people who are getting my work are getting top quality ingredients whenever it is humanly possible. Okay. Now we're on to our last ingredient, and that is rum. Now, those of you who watch my channel know I am not a drinker. I have no idea what this tastes like. So I had to ask around and say, what's a good rum that's reasonably, you know, it tastes sweet? Because I don't know how rum tastes. I don't know. I know how it smells, but I don't know how it tastes. And this one smelled good, and I've been assured that it tastes good. So this is what we're going to go. Now we're adding this. The maple syrup is for sweetening. The rum is to make it last. Alcohol is a preservative. It binds things in place. And actually, if you have something in your life that you want to make last forever and you just don't want it to change, put it in an alcohol jar. If it's a positive thing or something that's very soft and loving, you want to use a sweet liquor like rum. If it is something more protective, you might want to use a bitter liquor like a whiskey or a vodka. But here we go. All right, there we go. That's filled almost all the way up. All right. Okay. All right, and I just say one more prayer over here. I'm sorry I can't share this one with you, but it's got personal deets in it. All right, there we go. Kind of a long prayer, but that one I do have to say silently. So I'm just gonna put the lid on here, And that is it. That is it. Now this is beautifully layered, and it's really, really pretty. So I want to take a picture of it before I shake it up, but you will shake this up. I recommend working these jars on Friday with a red or a pink candle, and you can anoint it with an appropriate oil for the situation. But it's actually really nice. The maple syrup is warm, so it's like cool on the top from the liquor, and the warm and the like coming meeting in the middle. It's like got temperature and it's alive. I love it. But I mean, look how pretty that is. Like, look at that. You can see all the details in there. It's just wonderful. I just love it. But anyway, if you've done a sweet jar, if you've got other traditions or ideas, go ahead and stick them in the comments below. I love hearing about other people's ways of doing things. This was kind of a long video. Sorry about that. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, send them to me. I'd love to hear them. And if you want to see more of my work, as always, I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/hoodoodelish. And go ahead and subscribe if you like this. I would love to make more videos for you in the future. But I love and adore each and every one of you. I want everyone to know the wonderful comments that I receive on Facebook and on these videos. They're very encouraging and very uplifting, and it's I'm blessed to get to do this kind of work every day for you guys. So, love you to pieces. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.